This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Welcome to the Whisker Report. We're a new podcast dedicated to helping anyone in the pet industry or in animal welfare to get some PR buzz for your business or nonprofit. We're all about helping you. I'm Mary Tan. I'm one of the hosts of the show, and my co-host, Alexandre Ricard, is across the pond. Bonjour, Alexandre.
Bonjour tout le monde. So today we do not have any guests, and you will have to set up for Mary and I. Well, I mean, we also have a producer, Mark Winter of Pet Life Radio, with us today. And we are going to talk about PR and marketing. How interesting is that, Mark?
Yes, it's interesting. We can always use good PR here at Pet Life Radio. I know we need it.
Well, you run the largest pet network. You have tons of great PR. Everybody knows to go to Pet Life Radio.
I know, but still, sometimes I say we're from Pet Life Radio, and they say, we've never heard of that. And I'm like, what's up with that? We need to do something about that.
Yes, we absolutely do. I mean, that's something that Alex and I can help you with. And, I think, this whole podcast is also to help people learn how to do it themselves. So, that's something, although you're just like all of them, you wear 18 million hats, right? Like marketing and PR is tough on your tight schedule.
Yeah, it's hard to find time to do everything. I got to keep Pet Life Radio running, so all this other stuff is like extra stuff that you need to do for me.
Yeah. Well, hopefully you'll learn some things today and just chime in whenever you have a question. Let's hear it.
Okay.
Right, Alex?
Yeah, for sure. So let's dive into the difference between PR and marketing right after this little break.
Cat furniture is supposed to be a jungle gym. Most cat furniture hardly passes as a plant stand. So I set out to build my own.
Daryl Michelson, owner of Furniture Cat Furniture.
My cats absolutely loved it, and then that changed everything. We are using 4x4 posts, and we are also using what are called cores, which are half-inch thick tubes.
You can see the furniture difference online at Purniture.com. That's PURRNITURE.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Okay, we're back. So we're going to start with a question for Mary. Mary, you come from a background of journalism, and that's how you got into PR. So could you try to define what PR is for our listeners?
Yeah, it's really simple. It is managing the public image of a brand or an individual or a group. And it's about building and maintaining relationships with the public and the media and other stakeholders. And what's really interesting is people really don't know what PR is. So PR is technically part of marketing, but it's kind of a unique part of marketing in that we don't buy ads, right? So everything in PR is about PR people having the influence to approach reporters and different things and build a trust with the people who are putting out this information. We're talking reporters. It could be pet influencers. So it's about getting out there and trying to persuade these people that you have a great company or a nonprofit that you're representing and they need to cover it. So that's kind of in a nutshell what PR is.
So what you're saying is, PR is kind of all about like the image of the brand or the nonprofit. So it's not like, because marketing is usually about sales, but PR is all about their reputation.
Yes, it is reputation management. And it also encompasses, it's not just like media relations, which is the majority of what we do at Whisker Media, but it's also crisis communications. It's also employee communications. It can be events. It can be thought leadership, where you position a CEO as an expert and try to get them coverage based on their expertise. So PR really has a wide reach. But you know what? As you know, PR is also part of social media and digital marketing. because there's kind of a blur between PR and the other fields of marketing because everything is starting to blur together. Like PR people need the digital aspect. We need to be able to put out emails and that sort of thing. So there should be a lot of collaboration between all of the different people involved.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think one point for people that is a bit hard at the minute is influencer marketing, because actually influencer is kind of PR because it's all about building relationships. So if influencers are considered as media, then it is PR related, but also we call it influencer marketing because you're trying to market your product to them. So yeah, all of this is a bit of a blur and the line is getting thinner and thinner between the two.
Oh, it is. And it's really hard. Like, this when we have new clients, it's like the first intake session or the first session before they even hire us and want to get to know us better. They're asking like, well, what can we do for them? And, we'll tell them. And a lot of times we have to tell them, unless it's in the scope of work we agreed upon, that we're not doing advertising for you. We're not pay for play. We're more like reaching out to our database of contacts that we know. Because we go to all the trade shows and different conferences. And, Alex, you just went to Interzoo and made all these contacts there. And that's for future use for perhaps placement of media, correct?
Yeah, no, exactly. And I think, yeah, that's what PR is all about. And that's what you said. It's just networking and building, a database where you can just reach out to the people to cover your clients. And that's what I think we're really good at.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what do you think when it comes to working with influencers? In the media world, it's pretty easy to vet the reporter, but can you explain to people how you do that when it comes to social media and pet influencers?
Yeah, no, for sure. So we've been working with influencers for a few of our clients, and it was kind of a new thing for us when we first started to work with them because we've never done that before. And you quickly realize what kind of influencer works for you, for the brand, and what doesn't. And what I've seen is, first of all, the number of followers does not really matter because they can have like 100,000 followers, but their engagement is going to be very low. And that means, well, then, like it's not going to work out for us because we want an influencer that have so much engagement that people trust them, like they trust their opinion, they trust what they're saying. So yeah, I think what you always need to look out for is, especially today in today's world, is an influencer who's very authentic and genuine about what they're saying, that wouldn't like just, advertise this brand of food and then the next day another brand and the next day another brand. Like you need somebody that will actually love your product and that will actually share about it from like a genuine place. So definitely that. And I also think micro influencers are getting better because, well, big influencers have such high rates now. It's hard for pet brands or pet nonprofit to work with them. So I think we need to consider micro influencers because, again, if they have high engagement and if like their audience is really passionate about their page, then you'll have success. And the success, again, it is like with PR, and that's the difference between marketing and PR. PR is all about brand awareness, positive image. And that's what you're doing with influencers as well. You cannot expect to have direct sales. I mean, I know you want to, but it is PR. So the thing you'll get mostly is brand awareness.
So I have a question about this buying of followers. I feel like there's a lot of accusations out there from some big accounts. So how can you tell, and do you know how this works? Like with these companies, do they have like bots that are signing up for accounts and those are the bots that are being followed?
So I've never looked into it because, well, none of our clients would do that. But yeah, so you can definitely see it yourself. When you go into an Instagram account, let's say, and you see they have 10,000 followers, but they only get like 2 likes on their post, they're fake followers, 100% sure. They cannot have, like, they can talk about the algorithm and the algorithm is hiding their post or whatever, but no, if you have 10,000 followers and you only get 2 likes, you bought your followers. Like, we just have to be clear on that.
Do you know like how much does it cost to buy followers? We're not going to do that, but I'm just curious, like, do these companies make a ton of money?
You know what? I don't think it's that expensive. I think you would
Oh,
like buy maybe like it depends on what threshold you want to be. If you want to be on under 10,000, like under 100,000, so it depends how, but it's not that expensive for sure. That's
wow.
why many people do it. And even like, people who want to be influencers, they will buy followers to try to start their following base, but it usually just doesn't work because if you don't get
Yeah.
engagement, then you're not going to reach real people. So I do not recommend it.
And can you talk a little bit about how you vet influencers? Like, what tools can people use to find, to make sure these people say who they are?
Yeah, well, so I think you need to follow your instinct a bit as well. It's just to, when you talk to them, see what kind of person they are. That's definitely how I do it, is I start reaching out to them and you can quickly see if they're all about the money, and then it's not going to be a good match because you really want somebody that will, again, be genuine. So definitely that. And then the second thing, more like technical, is definitely the engagement rate. And there's so many tools, like we use Influencity, but there's a lot as well that can tell you exactly the engagement rate. And that is very, very important to see how engaged their audience are.
Are there any free services out there for people, or do they have a right to ask the influencer to give them analytics?
Oh, yeah, no, definitely. So, what you do when you first want to start with an influencer is you ask their media kit. And then on their media kit, they should say, the number of followers, like the demographic, like where they're from, which country or which cities, if they're male, females. And then you should see the engagement rate on it as well. So, yeah, you can always ask an influencer for that 100%. It's completely normal.
Wow. So I heard at Super Zoo this year, they have drastically limited the number of influencers coming because last year, I think the show got a complaint that there were so many influencers, who maybe weren't really influencers and they just kind of wanted free product. I want to ask Mark a question. So, Mark, you're traditional media.
Right.
And these shows, you can see who's press media, and then they usually call them content creators or influencers. Have you noticed these shows in the past? So I'll tell you what I've noticed. I've noticed there's fewer and fewer media and more influencers at these shows. Do you find that?
Yeah, we go to Global every year, and we've gone since 2010. So every year, I know less and less people there. At the beginning, you saw all the people from the media and same people, Marty Becker and, Harrison Ford, all these people. And then as the years go by, a lot of young people and not media, they're all like influencers. And in fact, when we were at Global this year, one of the large companies, I'm not going to say which one, but they always do like a media event for media, and they give out an award for, best media personality or whatever. And this year they didn't have it. And it's always my favorite event of Global. And we went to them and said, well, why aren't you having it this year? And they said, well, because Global Pet Expo wanted them to give their award to an influencer and not media. And they said, no, we're not doing that. So we want to give it to a
Wow.
media person. And they said, no, we want to attract influencers. So they decided they won't let them have it unless they do that. And they said, no, we're not doing it this year.
Oh my gosh.
So it's all about the influencers now and not the media. And we're not really traditional media because we're podcasts and, we're on, iHeartRadio and all that too, but we're not like terrestrial radio. So we're like new media. So, I mean, we should be considered new as well, but we feel like the OGs when we go there.
You are, yeah, yes. You and your wife, Michelle, who is the host of Catitude and Best Bets for Pets, are there every year. And yeah, I think people do think of you guys as the OG. So what's really interesting is that at Global Pet Expo, which is run by the American Pet Products Association, they went the opposite of Super Zoo. They let all influencers in, but you guys know you can't make everybody happy. So I'm sure Super Zoo ticked off a lot of influencers because they can no longer sign up because they allowed so few, because it seems like they want the more traditional media. I'm not putting words in their mouth, but
Okay, well, let me tell you something about Super Zoo. We don't usually go because it's far and, we have our animals and everything home. But I said, maybe this year we might go because I'd like to go to Vegas and, see what Super Zoo's all about. So we registered and they won't let me in. They said, because you're not a show host, they let my wife in. But they said, you're not a show host. I'm only running the whole network. And they said, no, you're not actual host or reporter. So you can't come unless you pay like $600. So I said, hell no, I'm not going there.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's absolutely insane. Huh. Wow. Yeah, I know lots of influencers that are getting turned down. And from what I understand, it was just first come, first serve. So if you didn't sign up by now, you're probably not going to get in. But
At Interzoo, I don't know, it was not as the same scale as in the US, there weren't that many influencers, but there was still a lot. And, they had that pass around their neck, like the little card that said media or press. And so every time I would see somebody with, the press pass, I would want to go and talk to them, but then I would realize they're actually influencers. And so I think I only found like one actual blogger and, maybe they didn't come by our booth or something, but it was really, really hard to see people with a card that said press when it's influencers. So I definitely think, at least at Interzoo, they should definitely change that to say influencers rather than press, because it's definitely not the same thing.
yeah. And you also ran into other issues at Interzoo because of like email laws, right? Is that correct?
Yeah, so it was difficult to do PR. So as we said, PR is all about networking, but it's hard to network when you can't actually find the press. So we went to Interzoo, and you have to know that Super Zoo and Global, you have access to the list of the media coming, right, Mary? You got the list with
Yep.
their email address. So you can actually like send them some emails beforehand to plan to meet, to go for dinner, just organize to hang out at some point. Whereas at Interzoo, because it's in Europe, and Europe is very about like, confidentiality and privacy, well, then they're not allowed to share the list of media coming or just of people coming, and they're not allowed to share their email addresses. So I couldn't do what we usually do, which is to reach out to the media before the events and to meet up with them after. So yeah, that was a bit annoying.
Yeah, those lists are really important. If you're a small pet company, for example, and you're showcasing at these shows, make use of the media list. And I think they give you tips and tricks, and you can submit your press release and that sort of thing. So take advantage, because you're paying for it when you get a booth at these shows. I think we should take a break because we're awful chatty, and we'll be right back.
Ready for the biggest cat celebration in the world? Come to the CFA International Cat Show and Expo in Cleveland, Ohio on October 12th and 13th. The expo is the world's grandest cat celebration, seamlessly blending pedigree cat exhibitions with feline welfare and rescue initiatives. It captivates over 10,000 feline enthusiasts each year, celebrating all cats, whether rescue or pedigreed, in a shared spirit of love and unity. Dive into cat-themed activations and enlightening educational sessions. Marvel at 1,000 non-pedigree and pedigreed cats, adoptable felines, and explore over 100 cat-themed vendors. It's an event dedicated to honoring our beloved felines and their admirers. And guess what feline influencers are coming to meet and greet? YouTube cat video sensation Aaron's Animals, as well as Nathan the Cat Lady, Lambo Leisha, Choopy, and many, many more. Gather your cat crew and do whatever it takes to head to the CFA Cat Expo. It's a whisker-wiggling, tail-twirling extravaganza you won't want to miss. Get your tickets at cfacatexpo.com. That's CFACATEXPO.com.
Let's talk pets
Let's talk pets
on Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
And we are back. I'm Mary Tan with Alexandra Ricard and producer Mark Winter. And Alex, can you talk about, let's dive into marketing. We kind of talked about the differences between PR and marketing, but there's some finesse between the two fields. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, no, definitely. So, as we said, PR is about the reputation, whereas marketing, I feel like, is more about promoting or selling a product. And that goes, so marketing is essentially more like SEO or email newsletter, email campaigns, and, social media advertising. But it can also even be more like traditional, like billboards or flyers. So that's why it's very different than PR, but it's still like they work hand in hand. So that's why the confusion is there.
Ah, that totally makes sense. So, what are some of the strategies that you use in your daily work at Whisker Media?
Well, I will just talk about one of our clients that we like furniture. We had them a couple of weeks ago on the podcast. I really love them. And just I do a lot of marketing for them. So we do PR whenever, they have something newsworthy, like, when they had that thing, that broken window, but we also do marketing on a regular basis. And some strategies I put into place for them was to start email campaign. So I send newsletter every 2 weeks. And of course, it can be difficult to write about cat furniture every 2 weeks because at one point you just run out of what things to say. So you have to understand that to still get the attention of your audience is you have to provide them with things they need or they want. And what we do as furniture is we write newsletter about everything cat related because the people who read the newsletter, people who buy cat furniture, they're also very interested in the well-being of their pets or just, like what kind of food is good for their cats. So that's one strategy we really put into place is to always try to provide something. Because if you just send newsletter about, this cat furniture is amazing, those stairs are great, those scoops to put on the wall. Well, your audience is going to unsubscribe because, yeah, it's just adsy all the time. So you need to find ways to promote or to sell your product or service with the way that you provide something to your audience, which can be a bit tricky. And you have to think outside of the box. That's what Mary always said. Think about that.
Yes.
Think outside the box.
Outside the litter box.
Yes, outside the litter box. Exactly. Do you want to talk about a marketing example that you put into? I know you talked about furniture. What's one thing that really stands out with our pet clients?
Oh, well, I remember, and that was great. I remember when we worked with a Simply Paws.
Yes.
So Simply Buzz was actually really good. It was Patty and her husband, and they made like a cat ramp made out of card box, so the cat could scratch it, and it was just to go inside the litter box, and so it would capture all the dust and all the little things of litter, so your floor would stay clean. Really like that. And
Yes.
they were, just a startup, just started, and they had not really any idea of, what to do or so we implemented a social media strategy for them. So we did a whole campaign on social media. And something that you have to know when you just start in marketing, for example, social media, is just to stay consistent. So stay consistent on like in the branding and the fonts you use and just like post quite often. If you look at the Whisker Media's Instagram, you'll see that we have those like colors, the yellow that we always use in those fonts. And then people, they don't even need to know it's us. Like whenever they see it, they're like, oh, that's Whisker Media. It's yellow. Yes, we are yellow. So it's just like in marketing, have something that differentiates you from the others and that is really stands out so people know it's you directly. That's really important in marketing.
And do you think people, especially the solopreneur, the little rescue group that has, 4 volunteers and you're mostly rescuing cats and dogs, do you think they have to make time for this? Do you think that PR and marketing is critical and it's important enough to stop rescuing cats or dogs for an hour or two to do this?
Yes, and I will give you my own example. So I run a cat rescue in Greece, Saving Lives with 2 A's. And we just rescue cats on a daily basis. We go outside, we trap cats, we get them neutered, we return them. It's like an everyday job. So I completely understand the stress, the time. It's time consuming and you just don't have time for anything else. And it's a very hard life. But once we started to actually put some work into, social media, like put some videos on TikTok and do all of that, that's when we actually went viral. And then when we went viral, I took Mary's knowledge and I was like, oh, Mary always said, like, you always have to promote yourself or promote your product in a way that's newsworthy. And I was like, well, a video going viral is actually newsworthy. So I actually wrote some press releases and sent them to my local hometown, the local hometown of Amber, the co-founder. And then we got coverage everywhere. We got coverage in the UK. We got coverage in my local hometown, but also like in the national newspaper, like the Parisian newspaper. So yeah, I went on the radio just because the video went viral. So if I didn't put time into, just creating something good, because we were trying to take example of the dodo. So I don't know if you see what kind of video it is, but we were really trying to work on that style of video because we could see it was working, and we did it and it worked amazing. And because of that, now we have more than 50,000 followers. So that means we get more donations to actually do our job. We get more adoptions. So, we put time into it. And yes, you might have rescued less cats at that time, but now what we get in return is definitely worth it.
That's amazing. I mean, so I hate to tell people this, but they have to do this. If you have a small business, and as I always tell my clients, you have to promote yourself. So you can hire a PR agency like ours. And, we always try to put our mindset at Whisker Media is that we think like your company is our company. We promote it like it's our own company. But if you don't promote your own product, no one else is going to care more than you do. So you are the perfect person to promote your product. And those of you who don't like to promote yourselves, you got to do it anyways.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to get money, or you're going to get donations, or you're going to get profit, because people, there's so much out there. There's so much noise that you have to get through to get people to want to adopt an animal from your rescue or buy a pet product from you. It's just, I can't tell you the number of entrepreneurs that we meet at Whisker Media who are like, I just want to, hire you and then you handle it. But I always think, and this has been from my personal experience, is behind like a new product, that's not really newsworthy. There's new products coming out every single day, but it's getting to know the story behind the company or the rescue. And so it's storytelling. That's what's going to get people. Like last week we had Trisha Montgomery of Moose's March on, and Trisha it's all about emotion with her. She started her nonprofit because her dog Moose died and she was crushed and, was just really so depressed. And the way she talks about it is so motivating, because if you read a lot of the news coverage about her, it captures her emotion, and it's that her story is sticking out to reporters and different things. And so it's whatever your story is, that's got to be the story. So with Pet Life Radio, for example, it's going to be Mark is the story. And he started Pet Life Radio 17 years ago when there were very few podcasts. Am I correct, Mark?
Yeah, they weren't even called podcasts yet. They were just like archived audio shows.
Oh my gosh. So when you're talking the podcast, the story is going to be about the hosts and their stories. But when you're talking about Pet Life Radio, it's about you, Mark, because you started it. And it's about why you started it. You love pets and you love podcasts, and you found a way to marry the two. And so that's got to be your story. And that also ties into all the other shows as well. So that's kind of, that's just a little bit of advice for you, Mark, since we're just talking randomly on this podcast about PR and marketing. So, but yeah, so we really want to help people, but we're going to really have to give you a kick in the butt saying, if you don't like doing it and you don't have any resources to hire anyone, I'm going to say tough cookies. You got to do it anyways.
Yeah, you've got to do it. That's all.
Yeah. This has been an interesting conversation, and we got very much off of script, and we were just kind of telling you, some of our challenges and things, but we really want to share everything. PR can be really difficult, and marketing as well. And you have your good days and you have your bad days. So if you have a question about PR marketing, please ask us on our social media, where you can follow the Whisker Report on Instagram and Facebook. Alex Zahn runs it because she's our digital guru. And ask us a question, because we really, really want to get feedback. We want to include you in every single show if we can. So, as we always say,
Bark loud and purr smart.
all right, everybody, we'll see you later.
Let's Talk Pets every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.